What's up, guys? This is Johnny from the shop. Just want to give you guys a quick shop tour. This will be the first video on the channel. Just introduce you guys to the space I'm going to be working in and show you all the things we got here and the neat projects coming up. So stick with it and we'll show you guys around. Okay guys, so we'll start here with my main workbench. It's a steel frame with a 3/4 inch plywood top. It's about 40 inches off the ground, which is good for me. You know, I'm 6'7", kind of a big guy, so it's a nice height. Makes everything comfortable so I don't have to bend over a whole bunch. Along the wall there, we've got my DeWalt 20 volt cordless lineup. I've got a 20 volt cordless drill driver, impact wrench, light, and over here we've got the Sawzall circular saw and little Makita hand router. Now, I like DeWalt a lot, DeWalt and Makita. Working with my dad, he's got a custom cabinet shop here, and we use a lot of DeWalt tools and a lot of Makita tools, and in fact, right there are my original DeWalt 18 volt set from like 2007, so they're 10 years old and they're still kicking with the old NiCad batteries. So I definitely prefer DeWalt over any of the other tool brands because they last forever in my experience. And on the workbench we've got a couple of old neat Stanley planes, the number 2 and a number 6, along with a Stanley spoke shave I found in my grandfather's old shed. Been cleaning those up, and maybe I'll have a couple videos on cleaning them up and sharpening on the whetstone and just plain maintenance. And over in this corner, got my workhorse old Craftsman 3 horsepower compressor with some old air lines. For what it is, it works. It's really loud though. And whenever it kicks on, it's, so we'll see about maybe upgrading that in the future, but for now, it works. Alright, so over here I've got my Craftsman little tool stack. It's really handy, keeps all my sockets together with my screwdrivers or anything shallow enough and small enough to fit in the drawers. It's I don't know, it's a nice place, kind of in the center of the shop that I can go to for all my little hand tools whenever I need this or that or anything small. So that's where I keep everything. This is my secondary bench. I've got my old Ram bench grinder there. Thing's ancient. It's got like a cast zinc body, but it's pretty torquey. I use it for a lot of my, cleaning up old chisels and those planes and stuff like that. So for what it is, it's a nice thing. Got my 4.5 inch machinist vise right there. It's been through the ringer, but it's a good vise. I like it. Over here I've got a little electric cabinet I made with a little, it's like a toolbox topper, like a little plastic topper for a toolbox, and then a linear actuator motor. The thing is neat, man. I'll see if I can demonstrate it for you. So I keep all my corded tools in there just because in case we lose power I can't really open it without electricity, but if there's no electricity I can't use those corded tools, so it's no big deal. So over here, these benches along this wall I actually made myself. This one in this left hand corner was made out of an old shipping crate, and on the top here I've got my combination 4-inch belt grinder and 5-inch disc sander from Central Machinery, a little Harbor Freight thing, and for removing a lot of material quickly, the disc is indispensable. I know a lot of the guys like the big 12-inch discs, but for my workpieces, I never really have anything that big to justify it, and the belt grinder is perfect for sharpening, like sharpening chisels or putting a quick edge on something that you're not trying to do super fine. But yeah, I really like this thing. And then on this side, got a 12-speed benchtop drill press from Harbor Freight. It's the step up from the cheapest one. It's not the most precise tool I've ever used, but for what it is, I think it was like 140 bucks. I'm fairly happy with it. Eventually I'll move up to something a little bit bigger, like a floor model. But for now, it does the job. Then along the wall, we've got drill bits and dust masks, clamps, all the things you need to run both those machines. And then underneath, just got tool storage. different toolboxes, sanders and jigsaws and stuff are down there, along with a bunch more of those linear actuator motors. I think I got 3 more of those with the controllers, so I'll have to think of something cool to do with those. If you got any ideas, leave them in the comments down below. I'm always open, you know. I like doing fun stuff. So if you got a fun idea, I just might try it. Alright, and over here I've got my miter saw station. I made this a couple of weeks ago out of just rough 2x4s I can get, and I stacked up 1/4 inch material for the top to give me 3/4 inch tops. I made the bottom table a little bit low. I made it out of 3 tables. So there's the 2 wing tables and the middle table. I made the frames and tables all separate, and I joined them together. They're all 24 by 30. So that way it gives me 6 foot, basically 6 foot wide, and then 30 inches deep to the wall. And I really like the thing. I've definitely got some more improvements to do. Working on the stop system for it next. I've got something I'm going to engineer myself, be coming up in the next couple of videos, and then might be making some drawers, maybe at least 1 drawer for the middle there, or some shelves or something like that, just to tie it all in. But for right now, I just like running it, you know. And it's just over and miles and above anything I've ever had for a miter saw station. It's definitely nice. You know, the work's always supported, and I would 10 out of 10 would make it again. You know what I mean? So let's keep going. And this corner was my original miter saw station. I didn't really like it for a miter saw station because there wasn't a lot of support for the workpiece on either side, and it's a little small and in a cramped little corner. So while it won't work out for that, it definitely will work out more for. This is where I'm going to put a lathe. That's going to be the next purchase we get. Is either if I can find a deal online for a used lathe, or buy a brand new Harbor Freight lathe, and talk about learning how to turn and all that whole process. I've always been really interested in it, so that's the next thing coming up in some future videos. If you guys got any suggestions for any lathes that you think are better, you know, again, leave it down in the comments. I got my old Delta 10-inch power miter saw over there, and the thing's a workhorse. I really do love it. The switch is going a little wonky on it, so it'll be time to put it out to pasture here in a little bit. I mean, I just got the cheap little Ryobi in the other miter saw station, and I made it purposely oversized because eventually I'd like to upgrade to like a 12-inch sliding double bevel from one of the major manufacturers. We'll see. Just wait on some like Black Friday deals or something like that. Corner of the shop, I've got a little, I think it's a little Kenmore, or no, it's a Frigidaire, a little Frigidaire shop fridge, and that thing, it's been outside for like the last 8 years. It still runs, keeps everything cold as ice, and it's, you know, it's nice just to come out here and dick around and do whatever I want and have nice cool beer or water for my son, or sodas out here, you know, because in Florida it gets pretty hot. And then got some tool storage in that filing cabinet and some metal shelving and stuff like that on the other side, but definitely like the shop fridge. And over on this side, it's my Delta 14-inch bandsaw, and for my purposes, this thing is more bandsaw than I'll really ever need. It's all cast iron, super heavy. I mean, it's made in Taiwan. It's not like it's made in the U.S., but that's what a lot of the lower line Delta stuff is made in Taiwan, and it's just as good as Ridgid or anything else like that. And for what I do and how I use it, I haven't thrown anything at this thing that it couldn't chew through yet. It'll do aluminum, it'll do any hardwood you can think of, and if you go slow, it'll get through mild steel. Just got a little magnet light on there to light up the workpiece because it doesn't have a work light. Working on getting maybe some halogens or something up under the wood rack here. And then right next to the bandsaw, I've got my 10-inch Craftsman radial arm saw. It was actually sitting in the corner of the shop before I reorganized it. It was here when we moved here probably 7-8 years ago, and it never ran before. And one day I just got a wild hair and I yanked it out and I cleaned it up, put a new blade on it, oiled it up, and she runs like a champ. It's kind of an in-between saw because when I upgrade to a sliding double bevel miter saw and a better, bigger table saw, I just don't see me using it. But for now and in between, it's definitely has its uses. You know, when you're cutting long, thick, or long, thin, wide stock, and yeah, there's certain applications where it's nice to have this over anything else. But like I said, it's just not something I see me using for forever. But and then on there, I've got some exotic woods. I've got some teak, some rosewood, some basswood, some redwood, and some red pine. When I either get the lathe or maybe I'll do some specialty projects, maybe make some pens out of that rosewood. A lot of guys like rosewood for pens, but we'll see what happens. And then above that, I've got lumber storage. Got rough 2x4s up there now, and a bunch of other stuff behind that, but that's just kind of my solution. I don't really have a great place to store sheet goods yet. Got a couple of little baby sheet goods over there, but yeah, I'll have to figure something else out, maybe another rack or another dedicated corner. But the shop's only like, I think it's 672 square feet. It's 24 by 28. So it's not the biggest shop in the world. Whenever I can, I like to go vertical. I got a lot of higher shelving units and try to maximize as much space as possible. Then down next to there, we've got some water storage. I've got 4 5-gallon jugs and 10 1-gallon jugs, so 30 gallons total. And in Florida, you know, hurricanes will come through and you'll lose power and you might lose water because, well, actually, we're out here, we're city, but you never know, it could get contaminated or whatever. So it's nice to have just some water laying around, just in case. I change it out regularly and we rotate that stuff. The little plastic bottles I don't really care about, but the big ones I clean out and swap that out every once in a while. And then over there I've got a repurposed shoe rack. It works good to hold a bunch of different bottles, spray cans, spray glue, and just little piddly crap that you need, but you don't really want to. You want on a shelf, but you don't really want to put away. So again, just trying to maximize, make the most of a small space. And then over on this wall, I've got my pegboard tool wall, where I keep some of my older tools or ones that I don't care too much about because, you know, being in Florida and being that this is just a wood construction with a slab poured in it, it's not the driest place in the world. The shop is dry-ish, so everything that gets up here gets a little rusty, but I mean, for hammers and bolt cutters and old wrenches, it doesn't really matter. So then over here I've got this big shelving unit that kind of acts as a catch-all. Got big paint up there and random tools and pretty much whatever I need to put there. So that's about it, guys. That's my shop tour. In the next couple of weeks I'll be doing something with that miter saw station. I'll be making a fence system for it, or maybe playing with the linear actuator motors that we got. It's a funny thing, we actually got those out of an automated Lazy Boy couch, but they're pretty strong, you know, for what they are. They can lift a decent amount, and maybe we'll put them to the test and see what they can and can't do. And they're fairly simple, and I'll have to do a video on that, more in depth on that cabinet, showing you how I made it and stuff like that. So if you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more from the channel, please leave a subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.